Oh, look, yes, I can. Welcome, everybody, to September's Crafty Crows. Delighted to have you all here tonight and really looking forward to our feature poet, Frank McMahon. I'm going to read out to you the housekeeping because we do keep ourselves in order in Crafty Crows. So when each poet is performing, please mute. And then you can unmute and clap and appreciate them afterwards. This event is being recorded, as you've just heard. We've all said yes, we're happy for it to be recorded. So please only share poems that you're happy to class as being published. Open mic poets, you're going to get a slot in the first half, 3 minutes, say. We'll have a break and then a slot in the second half. The running order's in the chat. And use the chat. We absolutely love to hear about events, books, anything that you want to promo, pop it in the chat, and then you can save it and refer back to it later. The Gloucestershire Poetry Society is a volunteer-led society, so please spare a donation if you can, or consider joining with a society membership, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can do that later. I think you've just spotlighted me, Ashley. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
It's all right. If you don't like being spotlighted, tough. But what you can do is what I'm about to do is cover your face with your poem so you can then perform that. And yes, that's the housekeeping. So if there's no questions, just looking around, everybody got any questions? No? Then I'll kick us off for the night. And I've got to choose a poem from what I'm going to do is choose a poem from my collection, but I haven't decided which one. So I'm going to ask you to choose a number from 1 to 5. And the first one to put a number in the chat. What number? 4. Oh, 4 and 3. That's oh no, 4 and 4. Okay, so I'm going to do it from section 4. I get to introduce you a little bit to my book now. It's in 5 sections. And the 4th section is the one, so it's called There Are As Many Truths as Minds to Pursue It. Happiness Ensues. So this is kind of the section in the book where I'm starting to come to terms with who I am. And this is an interesting poem. I don't actually think I've read this out on an open mic before. This is called Fault Lines on page 60. Fault lines. Oh no, I have done it once. Right. Do you know where your edges are? I mean, do you? We are born without edges. It's the knocks we get, the scrapes we survive that create our edge. Softness hardens to callous. These calluses grow from pressing our vulnerability into rock again and again. Some friction we choose, some we couldn't possibly. This pressure is where we could seek salvation or release, but we don't. The traumas of teenage tremors create seismic shifts in landscape, shaping different paths, fit in with parents, stand out from peers. Fit in with peers, stand out from parents. You cannot be both, we are told. You must be many personalities other than your own, we are told. So we break. Some break in the heart and build an armor of resistance. Some break at the skin and the scars are visible. Some break from reality because their dreams are more accessible. Some break at the knees and others see the need to lift them. Some break free from their body completely and inhabit only their soul. Life knocks us over every day. No one bounces, not really. We are brittle in so many different, shattering ways. Didn't say it was a happy one. Thank you. And you can unmute if you want to and say, yay.
I'm biased. You know I love that one. I love all of them.
Thank you. It looks good on the page. Can I just say, as
That
she's
one
talking,
dances on the page, doesn't it?
fab
The
job. Yeah,
dancer.
it does. Um, so thank you. I kicked off the night, but after me, it's Michael Sindler. So Michael, are you ready?
Yeah, hey, good to be here. Um, Take a second to get myself off of the huge picture of me. I want to start with this one. I'm taking this great workshop at Lighthouse Writers Center with Susie Q. Smith, and I had to write a sonnet in 10 minutes. So, needless to say, I've been reworking it since then. So this is where it is so far. It's called Pleasures Ripen. Slicking tongue stuck between sweet and sour, noodling through twisted seaweed slivers, cuisine savored for a delicious hour as spice burns palate and nostril quivers. In no hurry to finish this banquet, vessels laden with tender luxuries, trembling jelly revealing sweets when split, quivering squirt splashes as fingers squeeze. Such a meal, a lifetime in the making, thankful for this blessed invitation. Feast consumed, utterly breathtaking, every morsel a revelation. Some pleasures ripen at perfect moment, so never ingest in a wasteful sprint. Um, and as long as we're at the table, this one is called Red Sauce Cafe Dante Al Dente. I can't make out the conversation at the table in the corner, but tone and volume tell a tale of lopsided communication. Pyrrhic power structure built on fear, faces etched from years of stress, one nearly exploding, one close to collapsing. Teary eyes, trauma frozen orbs, nearly empty, fragile, downturned vessels. Bulging neck backlash, veins, taut cords pulsing through stretch, reddened skin, signaled rage, hints at threat of violence, response a wince, mouth pursed, alert, perhaps expecting slap here, right here in public. I fight automatic urge to butt into situation, knowing interjection could flare and ripple, not wanting to add fuel to flame, cause barely suppressed fire to flash out, add kindling to wrath, best hope ash settles. Plates shoved to center, jackets donned, cash laid over check, a few crumpled bills, pile of assorted change, probably paltry tip. Chairs scrape across floor as they rise. Fear follows fury out onto rain-washed sidewalk. Last peek at pair through fogged window pane. They board the downtown local bus. Exhaust Gus exit curtain. Next stop, perdition. And do this last one. It's a Renga that I did. My nephew graduated high school a few months ago and is now at West Point studying. And well, actually, he's not studying yet. He's still in the whole sort of stage where they're going through basic training. Um, so this is a piece I wrote for him for his graduation. It's called For Alan. Time is a slingshot, flinging you through the darkness. Change is relentless, always moving you forward to where life starts to make sense. Goodbyes and hellos, every end a beginning, rubber band snapping, You can feel it happening. Destination horizon. Move past innocence. Plan is starting to make sense. Get ducks in a row. Aims not towards easier. The goal is to be better. Use what's been given, locked into, fought for, or found. Every lesson learned may bear fruit in the future. Cultivate precious seedlings. Now is the best time. Drink life like precious nectar. The taste on your tongue will remain sweet forever. It will carry you forward. Dip in the gene pool when nothing seems to make sense. Kin will keep you cool. There's no boundary that love cannot bridge to be with you. There's time to look back, all the loves and adventures, mistakes you learn from. Those who love you have your back in your corner forever. Okay, thank you all very much.
Nice.
That was gorgeous. That last one, Michael. Thank you. Thank you.
I love
Well,
your words and your voice with your words, mate. Oh, that was delicious.
thank
Cheers,
you.
mate.
And welcome, Kathy and Chris. And yes, as Ashley said, you're already on the list to perform, so we've added your names.
My apologies for not sending you the Zoom link, by the way. I'm so glad I checked my emails. I was like, that'll be why she's not here.
You've not missed much, I'm sure.
No, we were late starting, so you literally were in time for the only person you missed was Kate.
So you've not
It's
missed
important,
much.
but not as important because we're just the hosts in it. So
Yeah.
But yes,
Michael.
the reading list is in the chat, just so you all know. Sorry, Kate, just I'm
All right.
most loudest tech person ever when you ask for me to host.
Yes, you're meant to be quiet. Do
I'm
you
supposed to be
realise
the silent partner in this. Me, silent partner. Jason knew what he was asking for. You don't ask for me without knowing what you're getting.
But he knows that we're a good prickly pair, so all's well in the hosting front.
We are.
Graham
I've shared the chat list.
is next. Ashley, I'll mute you. Ashley, are you ready? Ashley, Graham, are you ready to perform?
Let me get Graham straight.
I am, yes.
There you are, darling.
Wonderful.
Just going to spotlight you, mate. So 2 secs. Sorry, where is it? There we go. In case you want to unspotlight yourself.
Well, yeah, okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Well, I've got 2 poems to start with this evening. The first one is called Every Day. Every day I spend my time thinking about you. You are the person who, without meaning to, invaded my mind. Any other person could not compare with the beauty that lays in you. You are the person who makes my excitement mount, as I knew there would always be more that sits deep inside you, tempting me to learn about the life that lies inside your soul, knowing that inside you had far more beauty to show into the world. It made me want to find out more about the person that came inside that helped me believe that there was love that held us together as friends. Because when others only came and went, you came and stayed with me. You wanted to be when others would see what only was left outside of me. As I see in you each day, as I think about the person you are, that special multifaceted face that I chose to love so much. So I am proud and glad to call you the person who is my closest friend. And the second one that I've got this evening is a poem called How to Cope. And this may work or may not work. So let's see how it goes. It's called How to Cope with Neurodivergence. 1, make a list. There's too much going on inside your head, but then 2, check it. Sometimes some things will always get left behind. 3, learn your own mind, and nobody else would want to use it, meaning that you can use it freely. 4, create your own way of working, however it may appear. It will then. 5, open your mind to the possibilities. Creativeness comes when you let it all out, but then take the time to. 6, explore the mess you've made. There will be productive gems inside when you take the time to go back and take a look. 7, do not live purely by the actions of people. Regularly, they will try and get in the way of your life. But then, 8, Let them in to deal with occasionally. Sometimes they might turn out to be useful. 9. Learn to laugh at your own misfortune, as accidents will often happen, but there is always a way out, such as 10. Learn to trip up the stairs. It is less painful than falling down. 11. Take the time to find your thing. And 12. Regularly get excited about it. Everything is important to someone, no matter how niche that something is. Then go and take time to 13. Rejoice in your own person. Do not change who you are for anyone. Then you will. 14. Understand that you are special. It is everyone else that is weird. 15. Go outside from time to time, as there is a space for all. And then finally, this will allow you to 16. Have an adventure, as life is too short for planning. There you go.
That was brilliant. Yay.
Oh, I loved that, mate. Nice one. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I don't know whether that one would work or not, but thankfully it did.
Yes, it did. Great
Loved it.
feedback.
Yeah, check the chat, folks. Definitely.
So we're probably going to have 2 more before we have our feature poet tonight. And so after Graham, Deirdre. Oh, she's just back. Where did you go? You're on mute, Deirdre.
I went to get a photograph of my, have I unmuted?
Yes, you have. We can hear you.
Okay. I went to get a photograph of Wing, and I'm going to read a poem about this little house martin that I rescued and befriended. Wing. It seems it may be true that fate follows us like the tenants that have rented number 9. For all that they appear to look like you and I, or number 9 looking like number 8. I knew it took those martins weeks to build that nest, temple to dip and fall of summer skies. There was that day a hover hush upon lawns, as cheap on cheap, one by one, each went, except for one, there's always one. They stood and snorted, the DIYers, at a job well done. When whoosh, dive bomb assault, the martin pair hurried the niners back into their brick. Defiant now display of flight, spiral circle risings, electric blue flashings, then glide across a sea of sky, in cloud of bark to guide their fledglings to horse in green reed fields. I lift the gift that gravity has given me and bring it back, cradled in cupped hands, the sun and moon and stars to me. Now I'm the bird that rises with the sun, that feeds and watches, that finds this noun is always where I've wished to be, that names her wing and calls up to the skies where sometimes I fancy a pair of martins hover and wait until the day she'll want to fly my nest. 2 ladders that the DIYers had against the wall fell flat on top of them upon the lawn. That day, her beak to mine, was when my wing took wing. I watched until I could no longer see, but still on sleepless nights, I hear her cheep my name and join her then to starfly, wing to wing. I was looking at a poem of mine the last day that I thought, you know what, people are always blaming everything on the other. So I've called this The Irresistible Attraction of Blame. And in this, there's a bottle-fed ginger cat called Buddha that stole some pork chops from my next door neighbor table one day, and he came to the front door with a shotgun. The Irresistible Attraction of Blame. Blame it on the novel, that French one, I swallowed as scripture, but used as torchlight. On a sofa rejected by Binman, it lay face down, her spine as arch as all the cats that came and went through the open doors and windows of her pages. Blame it on the open door, not yellow brick, but shaded by walnuts, where Prue wrote, "Property is theft," and Mark stole. Once, after sheltering her for days, a woman stole my dress, my man, my book. She rode the dragon, my skin grew scales. Blame it on Buddha, the bottle-fed stray that borrowed 3 chicken legs from the kitchen table of the man who wore his house next door as armour, and appeared at mine to avenge all myth of angel as face of strange. Blame it on the fairies who dip in and out of the oldest mouths, most of whose teeth have been lost in mounds, flattened by fat cats counting on the mice falling for a cheese crumb, crafty crows swapped for fool's gold. Blame it on woman. Reclaim our noun from pyres of dead metaphors, swapping understand for underhand. Each month moon chalks and circles as skylines erase the first poem that tasted aphrodisiacal. Blame it on other. Any old one will do as long as it's not you. There's this thing about the other. There's as many of them as there are colours, creeds, or historical costumes in the cupboards of Timeless. Blame it on doing it for the book, the one you'll never ever read, nor allow read you as living text, but that will kill you as metaphor in mockery of its real meaning in order to shift the blame from blind. Blame it on extraterrestrials, that reptilian secret weapon in water fluoridation, Roswell, Area 51, UFOs. Only conspiracy can comprehend what hat to wear to join the ranks of blame. Blame it on the tongue that voiced it from the void, to lodge as glottal stop in dry throats gasping for air on land, envious of dragonflies at river dawn, colouring over lines drawn in rock as tribal markers of us and them. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Beautiful. I'm sure that the cat didn't borrow the chicken legs, though. They weren't coming back.
My cat's purring
Yes, I'm not
on
surprised.
my lap going, oh, I like this poem.
Well, we've decided we'll go to our feature poet now.
Yeah.
It feels balanced to do it that way. So Frank, you have a little moment to get ready while I have the pleasure of reading out your bio for everyone to hear. So yes, we are delighted to have as our feature Frank McMahon. And Frank was born and raised in Birkenhead in Merseyside. After graduating, he began his career in social work welfare as a practitioner and manager, working for 3 local authorities, the British Red Cross and ActionforChildren. He also served for 9 years as a school governor. He's married with 2 children and 6 grandchildren. They're always the best bits, I'm told. I can't wait for mine. Anyway, since moving to Cirencester, writing poetry has become an important part of his life. He's a member of 2 writers' groups and has been published online and in print. Palewell Press published his first 2 books, At the Storm's Edge and A Different Land. He's won the Gloucestershire Writers Network Poetry Prize in 2022 and a second prize with Indigo Dreams. His 3rd book, The Light Will Always Return, was published in April by Tim Saunders Publications. With others, he established writers in the library in Cirencester. In 2023, he was involved with a national initiative, Poetry Together, working with 2 schools who read their poems to audiences of older people and who were then shortlisted out of over 400 entries, winning 250 for their school library. He keeps an allotment, enjoys walking, travel, sport, and is now a volunteer with the Cheltenham Poetry Festival. Poets, please welcome Frank McMahon.
Hi. Thank you, Kate, and great to see you all here. It feels, with the numbers, it feels like a very special online soiree. And it's great to sort of hear people reading who I've heard read before, and some new faces and voices as well. With a particular mention to Kathy. Kathy and I are members of Word Brew writing group, and Chris Hemingway, who is one of the Illuminati of Gloucestershire poetry. I'm going to start with a couple of poems and then introduce the book and some of the themes within it. So, The first one is fire raising. Start with the fires, allotment sheds, 4 until they caught him. Start in his blank walled room with shrugs and mumbled words, eyes staring at the floor. Start with the sheds he chose, a history of verbal maulings, knuckled blows, the estate's small wars, its local justice. Start elsewhere with the fragments of each day, the tepid vacant hours, the not being there or not wanted anywhere, and follow where that grows day by day as deep chambered magma and the flare of incandescence, a boy on the edge of the map until that moment. Start with what might grow from that blackened husk, haloed by fire, in a green place, fed by streams. Just before I come on to the next poem, which is quite a contrast, that comes from a time when I had to do a report to a juvenile court for this boy who was about 10 and 11 who'd been convicted of arson. Okay, the next poem, there's a small section in the book called Water Music, and this is River Song. The held note of this river cannot be heard unless you kneel upon the bank, lower your head to within a finger's length, and wait. The held note of this river may be the pause between the breaths of an infant in sleep profound, a bow poised above strings, vibration of a spider's web, heads bowed towards the catafalque. The held note of this river is molecular, contained until it knows you give attention, concentrate as if a tongue-tied child strives to bring the painful weight of words to lips. The held note of this river carries a message which only you can write, and then, and only then, will it release its music. Right, so it's great to be able to sort of come and read poems on this third book, which was sort of published in April. In the preface, I quote, and this is kind of one of the abiding themes of the book, the great Chinese poet from the 8th century, Du Fu, who wrote, "Joy and sadness take turns in a dance beyond our control." And I guess that speaks to more than just me. So there are, for me, the light is both a kind of physical phenomenon, and it's also, you know, I also use it as a metaphor. There are a number of themes in the book which I think will become, I guess, apparent as I sort of go through it. I'll be reading 10 poems. The last one is going to be, with Ashley's help, a poetry film, which I'll introduce. Kate mentioned that 2 years ago I won the Gloucestershire Writers Network Poetry Prize, and this is the poem which, to my amazement, actually won it. The war against speech. Plosives, constantly percussive, are stripping the woodlands of its words and lacerating speech. Da-da-da, da-da-da. A woodpecker pauses, abandons its siege of bark and sap. Splintered tongues falter on first syllables. Ildren, Ildren, Ood, Orta, Orta. Burning, the bones of abbreviated vowels sear the forest floor. Smoke rises, chokes birdsong. Speech flails in labials and fricatives. A mother croaks a fevered lullaby in the catacombs of night. A murmuration of terminal breaths swirls languidly downwards to roost on cellar floors and rustle along the silent subway's rails. Libra nos, Libra nos, Libra nos. A train heaves in 4/4 time, huddle shapes of desperation, suppressed groans over untreated wounds, leaking pus of sibilance and gangrene. Carefully targeted, relentless, percussive, Their voices are the drums. Their voices are the guns. Their voices are the hammers beating words deep into the soil, deeper into the granite strata. The hammer on the anvil. The hammer on the anvil. Word hordes shrink to mumbled pleas, to questions of survival. And the last true voices are the screams of children, rising above the voices of the guns, articulating terror. One of the themes in the book is family. So there are three poems coming up. The first one is about the death of a grandchild when she was only 3 hours old. And then there's one about my mother and another about my father. So I'm just going to take a sip before I carry on. Here is a photograph. I did not take a view. Strong, pliable fingers, hours of interweaving pliant strands of wicker to build this vessel. Try to find a beginning or an end in the cross-hatched seams, which swayed once and greened, filleted the sun and shrouded warblers' nests. Here is a photograph. I could not take a view. And if I had, impossible to share it now. A Moses basket, absolute silence, save for the heart beating with grief. My camera lens, a sacrilege. You're always here, engraved. So this next poem is about my mother, who was born in a farm in Kerry in southwest Ireland. So farm we went to for a holiday when I was about 11 or 12. So kind of things, memories stick very firmly with me. So she was born in 1911. So some of the references here are to the Great War. And then the Civil War, which was happening while she was living there. The signs of the cross. Rural certainties, the farmer at the end of the old bareen, sibling noise and play, plod of cattle to the milking shed. A neighbourhood of rules and obligations, pleasures taken, but never to excess. Fresh eggs daily, fish caught in buckets from the river. Around the kitchen table, talk of weather. Rain was always guaranteed. Pests on the fruit, daily chores assigned. News from the Great War, somewhere over there. Evening prayers, the immutable authority of custom, church and school. The maps of faith etched daily, line by line. Low voices carried upstairs. Blackened hands, so-and-so killed, houses burned out. How safe when a lorry might arrive, arrogant and lawless, or men might emerge from a hedgerow, wave guns, usher you past. The child begins to learn how to weigh words against tone of voice and eyes, which flicker like a bird flying sideways. Sundays, the churchyard terse with a litany of whispers, hooded looks. Back home, father off guard, thank God for all our daughters and our only son a boy. We farm and pray, that's all we've ever done. One by one, the family dissolves to other lands and distant cities. The grown child follows the road to the station and the rough sea voyage. Faith, their staff and guide through romance, family, war, and death, through and beyond the fatal diagnosis. As Kate said, I was born on Merseyside, just the other side of the river from Liverpool. So, and this is about our dad, and what it was like then. So, Call of Duty. Who would see that crossing as exotic? Swift, oil glossed currents of the Mersey, war-maimed wars, windows bleared with grime, empty shattered ground, determined scrub. Exotic? More used to games in cobbled entries, us brothers did, chafing for the ferry to race upstairs, take about station in the prow, vibrate to the deepening thrum of engines towards the liver buildings, clang of trams, hustle of thicker accents. What was not exotic? Seaworthy, to make sure the ship will be through every turbulent ocean, safe from human error. I understand it better now. His work, something like, will this child be safe at home? Full circle of experience. He'd witnessed men killed at sea. This was our father's daily journey. Nothing exotic. Other words are needed. Dutiful, conscientious, impelled. My father served in the Merchant Navy in the Second World War and came very close to kind of sinking when the merchant ship he was in was torpedoed. Fortunately, somebody spotted he was missing and went down and brought him up to the lifeboat. So, one of the other themes in the book, and there's one poem from it in a kind of lighter mood, is the kind of tribute I pay to sort of creative people, so like poets, artists, sculptors, but also craftsmen. Some of whose work has kind of inspired me. Last year we were down in Penzance, went over to St Ives Gallery, and there's an exhibition of all the work by Barbara Hepworth, and one particularly caught my imagination, which is well worth looking up. It's called Wave, and unfortunately this poem was published by Acumen. Tunneling waves. I must be engulfed between the arching lips of this endless breaking wave. I must churn over and over within shoal chants, rhythmic thud of flukes, shingle shift, chase the promise or illusion of something beyond tentative, juggle word and sound along this abacus of tensile strings which hold apart the wave's entombment. I must play, arrange again, until the song sings itself ashore, where it must learn to walk and fly before the tide reasserts its claim. Right, how are we doing for time, Ashley? No response. Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine, mate. Don't you worry about the time, like I said beforehand.
Thank you. Okay, right, another one in that kind of vein. So this is the 8th one. Is called In the Air. It's one of those poems that just seem to come out of nowhere. In the air, I find profundities, birds, moths, trees, which double with the footprint of their shadows, the ocean's shifting imprint, protective shield around the globe. This is the wonder of nights, constellations, the vast improbability of origins, wolf's tail, mosquito's wings. And these are the lowest of days, as rivers, earth fouled by the ravenous ghosts we breed within our nests. And this could be the quiet ecstasy of evenings, the fatigue after work of mitigation, the nurture of inheritance. Right, quick pause to right, this is the 9th poem coming up. It's slightly longer than the others. One of my favourite places in this country is the Norfolk coast. That wonderful liminal landscape where you get beach and salt marsh and then the firm land. It's a place that really speaks to me. If you've not been there, do go. I'll say to Mr. Sindler over in the States, if you come over here, don't just go to Oxford and the Cotswolds, go over to northwest Norfolk. And the beer's pretty good there as well. Okay, and if you've been before, then go again. So, saltings. Here, nothing grows tall or large except the sky stretched above this unflamboyant ground. Vast veined cortex, sea-washed, filled and drained, negotiable land where wind and soil and water work off each other in fluent stasis. Salt tongues follow the pendulum of the moon to bring their words twice daily. Pardon me. Fill the creeks and channels, mercury pulse, whispers of assertion and withdrawal, gentle like the quiet telling of a story. This is a place of modest colours, winters grey like geese among the sea bright's orange tips, prairie sage where it's silver grey, perennial curlew prospecting slick mud banks for tidal gifts, restrained blue and pink of lavender and thrift. This is a place for other lives where we can walk, wary of quags and brackish pools, not with the red shank's careful tread across voracious mud, but on blue baked clay. We leave no footprint, merely a trace of our passing through. Boats are moored, optimistic plans to find the open sea, others rust and rot like discredited creeds and dogmas. This is a place to come for silence, but welcome the wind and the oyster catchers piping, to open out as you walk towards the sea, pause and return, replete, where tranquility takes root and finds at least a margin, perhaps a place more central, a stab of joy in what you'd overlooked before, a hope you could return and find again a state of temporary grace. This is a place where I lose and find myself. Okay, so I'm going to introduce now the final, the poetry film. There's a section in the book, if you haven't, they're called Mosaic. And a couple of years ago, four of us went to a town in northeast Italy called Spellimburgo, where there's a school where people learn to make and repair mosaics. And when the tour itinerary said, "Oh, we'll go to mosaic school," I thought, "Oh, well, this won't be that interesting." And then I was just amazed at what was the production and the skill. So then thought, I got some good pictures, so let's put them together in a short poetry film which lasts for a couple of hours. So I shall now mute myself because this is voice recorded as well. So Ashley, take it away.
Hopefully when I press play, you'll get sound. So if you don't, please say straight away and I'll fix that.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Mosaic by Frank McMahon. 1. I held my breath as she braced the tiny stone on a block of wood between two long and supple fingers, lifted the heavy hammer axe on a perfect arc, and brought it down one exactly angled blow to smooth the ruckled surface. 2. Eagle-beaked, twin-headed hammer, razor-edged, tempered steel on a hardwood haft, rests on a trunk of oak in the pupil's room. It would look more at home in a climber's hand, scaling a wall of ice, than here, where a scatter of stone and rock waits to be shaped to fit mosaic patterns. 3. Practice, practice, practice to master the precision of angle strikes, where one false stroke could sever fingertips. 4. Learn the qualities of stones, text, potential for longevity. Immerse yourself in colours, blend art and craft, and teamwork. 5. A rainbow waterfall spills downwards and floods across the floor. Guernica hangs on an outside wall. 6. Cross-legged in the ancient church, she sifts for shape and palette, tests for the millimetric fit, sets tesserae in a bed of stucco, hour after hour, until the old saint can rest, restored, faith and mastery combined.
There you go. Oh,
Thank you, Ashley. Perfect.
oh,
Thank you.
well, it's smoother than I expected, and a beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Everybody, please show your appreciation for Frank McMahon. Come off mute. Applause. Woo woo. That was brilliant.
Oh, that was a delight for my ears. Genuinely loved that set.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Frank. Thanks so much.
And now you can breathe and rest.
So we are ready to take a break, and that means that you have a bit of time to go and refresh your glasses, refresh yourself. Are we going to go off record, Ashley, for this?
Yes, I'll pause the recording.
People will think they're... Okay, welcome back to the second half. You've had your breaks all fully refreshed and having let the beautiful poetry of Frank McMahon settle, because it was very moving. I found that very moving. I do have to do a few announcements, as is our want at Crafty Crows. So we want to let you know what's coming up in the future. So our future feature on the 2nd of October is Stacey Ardis Dyson, in celebration of Black History Month in the UK. Very excited for that feature. And then we have in November a double headline, a Celtic double headline, no less, with Nicholas McGaughey and Finn Hall. And then on the 4th of December, we've got Beth Brooke as headliner. So some exciting poet features coming up for everyone. We do remind you that GPS is a voluntary run group that relies on the support of our members and the wider poetry and creative writing community. So please spare a donation to help us support our featured poets. Poets should get paid, and run our events. And I think Ashley, being the fabulous co-host that they are, have popped some stuff in the chat for you there.
In bold, though, I don't know why. I'm not shouting, I promise.
You're meant to do that quietly. Anyway, it's in the chat. So yes, if you want to donate or become a member, the links are there for you. I will remind you, you can use the chat yourself. We really love to know what you've got coming up in terms of features or books or anything like that. Pop the links in the chat, particularly Frank, if you want to link through to any of the wonderful books that you read from. So yes, I do have another poem, don't I? Yeah.
Spotlight.
I got another 40, 50 odd in here, to be honest. I don't know which to read again. I tell you what, it's opened on this page. This is in the section which is about friendship. There's quite a few poems in my book Unbroken which talk about friends and friendship, and this one is called Regret. I wonder why I have no friends. I wish I had stayed in touch. I wish you were still here. I wonder at all the letters I never sent. SOS messages bobbing lost at sea. I think of all the time I wasted. I think of all the love I wasted. There are many different kinds of friend. My heart is driftwood in the sea. We cannot hug if we fear to touch. I miss you now you're absent. Your voice is the one thing I long to hear. Your absence casts a shadow here. I think of all the joy I wasted. Your flowers pressed have no scent. Solitude can sometimes be a friend. Your old letters smell of your touch. I may long for you, but will never see. As I often look wistfully out to sea, it's when I noticed most you are not here. Our hands in each other's, warmth in touch. Our friendship was never wasted. I didn't know what made you a special friend. I never thought beyond the present. I wish your goodbyes were never sent. Broken apart by things I couldn't see, I have no one else to call my friend. Recalling conversations I no longer hear. I think of all the hope I wasted. I miss your closeness and your touch. Time twists away as I strain to touch your memories. Their melancholy scent reminds me of the life I've wasted. Watching footprints washed away by sea, leaving me stranded, always alone here, when all I wanted was you, my friend. Could I have stayed in touch? I was no friend to you. I see now how much effort you wasted trying to be present for me, to be here, to be loved. Melancholy. Yes, and I'm pretty sure we've got the order of the open mic in the chat, so I'm just going to have a quick look and remind myself. But Ed, I think you're next up. Are you ready?
Thank you. I'm ready.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much. My name is Ed Potato, feeling fantastic. Please tell me you could join my rhyme Falco Sublime. I got 2 short pieces, so I won't take too much time. The first one is from our wonderful Mike Simmons workshop. This is called Green in Need. I can't live without poetry. It's where inside you and me. I don't need anything else, maybe insight or a belt. I'm not a collector of wealth. I play the cards I've been dealt. I remember I was poor. It balanced my red core. I hate some collectors. Fight and take to feel even better. You pay how much for those shoes? Did you get at least a trip or a cruise? You pay how much for that dress? Are you that eager to quickly impress? You pay how much for that car? That Tesla isn't going to take you far. You pay how much for that ring? Did they at least give you golden wings? You pay how much for that art? Where's your complimentary go-kart? You pay how much for that? Sorry. You pay how much for your mate? With our minds to one-time only estate. We're the monsters we feed, but buy whatever you want. But please, some humanity. Least fortunate needs money too, for a plate of stew or to win off the flu. Thank you. And my other one is called Sharp Words. The pen is smarter than a sword. We creators inspires on our old accord. Words are gifts, not label or curse. If you're behind, doesn't mean you're not first. After I have been called types of bad names, but I'm not up in quicksand or flames. Deep down, I knew it wasn't me. It was their frustration trying to be free. I see chaos happen with just one word. I see riots happen just from flipping the bird. When you use a word, please think back. Think about consequences come in stacks. Why not use words like sharp or nice hat? Please use your words minus the bat. Words are used to educate, not conjugate or debate. Please bring positivity and harmony, but no hate. Every word, sentence, and essay has power. You're the gardener of this unique flower. It could be a rose, sunflower, violet, or Venus flytrap. If trigger, please close your gap before it collapses. Remember to use your words thoughtfully and wisely. Please use them highly, concisely, precisely, and nicely, but never lightly. Thank you.
Oh, that was ace. You know I love your stuff, Ed. Nice.
Ed Poetastic using his
Thank you,
words
thank you.
fantastically.
Yes.
Brilliant. Oh, very, very good. Love those, Ed. Thank you. Next up, we have Catherine. Is it Catherine or Kathy? Just checking. Oh, there we go. We can hear you, Kathy.
Either. Catherine, I usually write under, but
Okay.
anyway.
Lovely
Okay.
to have you here. Yeah, it's over to you.
Yeah, well, good evening to you all, and it's so nice to be here. My poem is set in West Wales, which is where I'm from, and there's a Welsh word you might not know, and cawl is a mutton and root vegetable stew, and once upon a time it was a sort of staple, but I think it's very yucky. So the title is Jim a Will, which loosely translated means Jim and Will. So, Jim a Will. Two boys slithered coppery out of the same unwilling womb, kept at home, fixed on the old breast too long, swaddled tight in carbolic and fried shallots. At 5, they trailed honeysuckled lanes to the grey school, where they jostled, all lanolin, ink and piss, learning to be savage, handy with their little fists. Half-grown, avoiding company, they skulked heathery moorland, leaping dry stone walls, crouching low, breathing earthy moss and rot, shushing their trembling collies. Women were sparse. Only mothballed aunties visited to squawk in the smoky kitchen, cowl, musky and thick, moaning and spitting on the black range as they sipped stewed tea. All their years the boys toiled the land, stolid as cart horses, rank, reeking of dog, dung and tobacco, thin as barley stalks, losing their teeth and hair. Money was made, coin by coin, note by note, and stuffed stealthy into their musty feather mattress, under the oak beams where they'd been birthed. When their combine harvester came, they paid cash. 2 old men under a rising midsummer moon, shadowed by bulky, looming metal, shuffled their boots, clasped hands, and danced a perfect tango over stubble in clover-scented fields, giddy with the whooping of neighbours and yapping of startled dogs, the last swallows skimming low over their flat caps. Thank you.
That was so rich, Kathy. That was delightful.
The language. Oh,
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Ooh, still enjoying that. Thank you. And now, Chris, are you ready to unmute? Yes, you are.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, good to see and hear everyone again as well. It's got 2 poems. The first one is called There's a Ghost in My Phone, with thanks to Aldine Taylor and Marky Smith. There's a ghost in my phone. There's a ghost in my phone. It clings to the underside of my screen, acts like a PA on drugs and working unnoticed, phones anyone, anytime, shoots experimental French film from the very edge of my pocket, spoons out subscriptions to Angry Birds and other applications. There's a ghost in my phone. It decides when to mute and when to proclaim, which meetings to serenade with my daughter's playlists, treats social media as a challenge as well as an oxymoron. There's a ghost in my phone, livening up its text predictions with unguessable passwords and Scrabble cheats. It doesn't learn from my typing errors. It sees no reason to. It was a smartphone once. Now it's scuffed at the edges and smudged at its heart. It's bitter and haunted and falling apart. There's a ghost in my mirror. Sorry, I mean in my phone. Thank you. Thank you. Second one, this was written the weekend of our election here, It's a couple of months ago. Don't want to dwell on it, but I think it should be commemorated. It's called Waveney Valley, which, as you may remember, is a constituency in East Anglia, which the Greens took from the Tories this time round. Waveney Valley. It's been this way since the Doomsday Book. So convinced no one would ever need to take an arrow in the eye again. An arrow in the eye. There are other ways to blind or to be blind. There's an exhibition of driftwood washed up by the river. Washed up by the river, choked to shallows by uncut reeds. They slashed the hospitals, knocked on the doors of the ill and workless. The ill and workless, fleeing the borders, and you danced while we tried to keep our parents' throats from burning. But he's here to talk about pylons. To talk about pylons, cheeks blazing, not with shame, but through misplaced sunscreen. And he's realised too late about redcoats and foxes. Redcoats and foxes don't solve every problem. The river is the centre of the valley. The river is always the centre of the valley. That's how erosion works. That's how erosion works. Erosion of trust, trust and tolerance. Till all that's left are hollow stumps. It's no surprise we wanted you gone. And to be fair, I think you knew that. By the end, I think you knew that. In the end, the pylons didn't make us angry anymore. You weren't concerned that the river hadn't changed from brown to blue, and nor had your national shirts, and nor had you. Right, thank you.
So I should be on spotlight and you're busy enjoying it.
Beautifully read as well. Wonderful poems and really well performed. And it made me laugh about the phone. They've got less smart, haven't they? They seem to have got ridiculously.
I always visualise quotation marks around the word smart.
Yeah. None of that going on in our phones anymore. Isn't it nice to be here instead? Well, after Chris, it's Ashley. Ashley, do you have a poem you can share?
I've got a couple for you. They're
Brill.
massively long, so I've picked two instead. I'm going to have to spotlight myself, aren't I? Right, okay. Let me just cover my face because I don't like that. Right, I've got two for you. They're completely different subject matters. The first one is called Subway. Rubber of my untattered soles thudding on concrete echoes over my tinnitus as I march through the subway, eyes trained to stare at the stairs in the distance, not at the torn sleeping bag, empty wrappers from their last meal, a reminder that sometimes they do get to eat that day. Readjust my branded bag, avoid the mound of piss-doused cigarette stubs, focus on the exit, sunlight and a changed landscape will keep the memories at bay. Ignore the whispers from the quietly cacophonous rainwater that drips in droplets from the roundabout I know still sits above. Its own wealth of memories tie knots of tar in the pit of my stomach. Swallow deep breaths of time past as I pass through the hollow shell of an urban alfresco shelter and see my shadow. Silence reverberates louder than footsteps. I am frozen. Silhouette of child me lies listless, over-medicated, underprotected. Their dreams slap me in the face, punch me in the gut, quest for confirmation that this concrete bed is only temporary. Rubber of my souls sing with a poetic soul as I step out of the subway into dreams lived. Thank you, that's my first one. Giving away some of my personal life. Show you that you can come out the other end like this. Right, the next one's about ADHD, so completely different subject matter, and it's called All Senses Tingle. Noise of the sun blinds me, brings tears to my eyes, makes me shudder, flinch. Ears pulsate, vibrate, to a beat I can't control, can't keep step with, back away from. Burrow into earth, be a mole, hands as claws, muffle the volume of the burning light thundering down, skin absorbing din of heat, bristle, squeak. Do you hear me? Can you see my overwhelmed aura? Can you hear my beating heart out of rhythm with the world? Do you scent my panicked sweat? Touch my trembling, fevered body, taste the blood of my bitten cheeks. Emerge, nose first, taste tranquility of a slumbering world. Nocturnal rays wash down on me as a mist. Silent moon muffles my senses. Find peace in the quiet of night. There you go. Thank you very much.
Oh, what a contrasting pair of poems they were. Is that a new one, that second one, Ashley?
I've read it once before. You might not have been there. So
No,
it is pretty new, yeah.
Yeah,
The last
fabulous
month or
stuff.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, well, that's fabulous. Well, guys, we have been round once,
I'm
but
going to do a list for everybody.
we have a bonus
Ready.
round.
Yes. So one poem each, isn't it?
It is. It's one poem each, and Ashley's going to do the list. But did you say we would follow the same flow as last time?
Literally, that's what I've done.
Marvelous.
I
And
should be
so
correct.
then
I'll double check it, but either way, it definitely starts with Michael.
it does. Michael, are you ready?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, this has been great. What a fantastic feature, Frank. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna do this one just because it's in a anthology coming out from Lighthouse Writers, who I mentioned earlier with the class I'm taking. It's called Beauty Hides. To take away the scar would leave another, less noticeable perhaps, but skin would itch in anguish, missing its past imperfection. Jagged patterns softened as surrounding skin sags, miniature mountain range mapped by dragging fingertip. Why pull down the marker? Why expunge this monument to sorrow's civilization? Why erase the history of the hurt? No dull surgical edge could substitute. No layered line of flattened pink could leave less hurt. Let what is be. Let memory live on. Beauty hides within the scar. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Wow. Oh, thank you for that. And Graham, you're next up if you're ready to go.
Yes, I am. And I've just got one short one. And it's called Colne St Aldwyn. Along the valley from Colne St Aldwyn, following the river that bears its name, moving so quiet it could go with the land, meander to the left, then to the right, crossing the pasture, bisecting woodland, looking as if nothing is changing, as if it has been since time was born. The birds still sing, the crops will grow, as they have followed the season that passes, moving through the valley each year, so slowly that no one could notice it moving, timeless and yet in the current and present, the valley that leads from Colne St Aldwyn, set in place and so much in the setting. Thank you.
Oh, that was beautiful. It reflected some of the other poetry we've had tonight, Graham. That was really nicely chosen. Thank you. Deirdre, do you have one more you could share? And do you want to come off mute and we can hear you?
In the chat to Graham. Brilliant evening. I'm just going to read a few, just a little tiny short section from my little book. You've heard little bits of it before, my new book, The Flights of Prophecy. All those who sheltered in the haven were known as people of the book. No one knew for sure when it first was written. It was housed in the sacred grove on the ancient rock. Behind it grew a wall of jade vine that sparkled at night. Blue-green petals shimmered like drops falling from a waterfall. Around the base of this black meteorite bloomed one sandalwood fragranced Utan Palewell. The Utan Palewell only blooms every 3,000 years. This was omen, portent of prophecy. Change was coming. There were fewer and fewer arrivals since nomenclature had gathered all born with a blue birthmark in old places. Less scouts returned. Those that did bore grim tidings of burning forests, black lakes, dry pools. The guardians of the grove had no other choice. Survival meant retreat. The oldest of the guardians foresaw nomenclature. She had read it in these lines. When one time of burning forests presages the dying of our kind, follow wild flock to find first people. Call her Snow, but her secret name was Star. For 3 nights past she'd had troubled nest sleep. He haunted her still, even after all these years. He had disappeared without a word, no message sent, nothing on which to pin a feather of hope. Seasons passed. There was bird lore, the book or new fledglings to mentor. No one else replaced him in her heart. Many tried and failed. Time softened some hard edges, but then, like the jutting limestone crags surrounding the haven, they rebirth. This is when you see if how you've flown has been the flight or not.
Absolutely gorgeous, Deirdre. At some point, I have to listen to you read the whole thing. I don't know if it's on Audible. I love Audible. Wonderful stuff. And then Kathy, do you have another poem that you would like to read? Yes. Kathy, you're on mute still if you'd like to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I'd muted
Okay,
myself.
sorry.
You knew us all there.
Okay, so this one is about the rainbow flag. Ordering the flag. First, red, but not blood or poppy. I want Bohemian garnet, picked quivering from the snowy streets of Prague. Orange, like the tail feathers of a cummel bird. Bilas for dancing with a drumming tribe. For yellow, it's the flame of a Bunsen burner when the oxygen valve is closed off. If not, Klimt's kiss in the Belvedere. Green, traffic light green, of course. Then blue, slightly more complex, ultramarine, with a faint salty tang, crushed from Afghan gold. Indigo must be windberries, ripe and growing on summer Welsh hills, doused in rain, held by the sun. Lastly, violet. Use no shellfish, but copy the colour of the tiny flower. We are all born between purplish walls. Thank you. That's it.
Oh, that was amazing.
Love
can-
that.
Yeah, just yes. And Frank has said a rich palette. Absolutely, that beautiful. Oh, I'm really enjoying tonight. And Chris, have you got another one you can share?
Yeah, found
Great.
one. Notice whenever people read a villanelle, they always say, "Oh, and this is a villanelle," as if it's a warning of some sort. But it is anyway. It's called "The Year Moves On, but Not to Schedule." It didn't have to be this way. I could have made another call. We could have stayed another day. Whenever time got in the way, I could have smashed the hourglass. It didn't have to be this way. One last instalment still to pay. I could have got it organised. We could have stayed another day. The welcome mats that we outstay are bristling now, but let's pretend it didn't have to be this way. The blossom trees of early May admit to falling far too fast. We could have stayed another day. The crashing waves that break the bay confess to excess weathering. It didn't have to be this way. We could have stayed another day. Thank you.
Oh, that was lovely.
Yeah, enjoyed
Thank you.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, right. I could just listen, you see, and let it all just sink in. Frank, our fabulous feature, would you close the evening with a final piece for us all?
you're on mute as well, lovely.
Can we unmute you?
He's doing it. There you go.
Okay, yeah, this is not in the book. It might appear in the next one. So a short one. Okay. Love song. My hand upon your rib rises and falls as your breath moves along the pillow, falls and rises as light enters the room discreetly. This day's an egg ready to be hatched, but I say, stop, wait. I'm still within the ebb of night, petals on waves, fish bones, the water's dialogues and whispers. Wait, as we lie within our globe, this in-between time when the weight of the world is a feather, and we are simply the fall and rise of breath and touch.
That was gorgeous. We're kind of picking up a few themes in that second reading. I love how people do that. Thank you for choosing that poem to finish the night, Frank.
Well, thank you for asking me.
It's been an absolute delight tonight. And like you say, it felt like a very intimate and friendly soiree for us all. I don't have any words to close the night other than to say thank you to everybody and to say it's been absolutely wonderful to be your guest host and
Yeah, we loved it.
to have Ashley, my co-host from another open mic, join, which we might just plug a little bit because
Yeah,
we've got
it's
that coming
on
up.
this Sunday, but I think it clashes with Frank. So if you're looking for an online event on Sunday, then check us out if you don't already come. Michael, just so you know, it's 7 p.m. now, so you can come to Prickly's.
If you want to.
We'd love you there, mate. Do you know what I mean?
We've moved the time, especially
we've moved
for
the time,
Michael.
right, for people like Michael Sindler, because it was always at lunchtime.
When is this?
Pardon?
What?
Sunday.
Sunday.
So,
the 8th.
Okay, I can. Ooh, I'll see what I can do.
See what you can do. The links are on my Facebook anyway, mate. So have a look, see, and if you are free, we would absolutely love you there. But if not, there's always next month. Well, no, next month's different anyway, though, to be fair.
So remember, you can share all this sort of stuff in the chat, and
Yeah.
any links to any events you've got coming up that you're featuring out, let us know.
Oh wait, so it's 7 o'clock your time.
Our time. So
okay,
midday
yeah,
your time.
probably, yeah, okay, yeah, on Sunday. That's it.
Whereas it used to be like 5 a.m. I think. I'm going to just press stop on the recording, by the way, everybody, because we're moving into chatter time. So 1 second. Let's